Well, happy Veterans Day, everyone. Finally, it's been a few months, a few long months, but Jordan and I are back. A lot of things have happened over the last few months, as everybody's well aware of. So, Jordan, from a new location, recording right now. So, I'm still in the great state of Alabama.
Yeah, it's definitely been a whirlwind in the last couple months. I was thinking about this. We drove across the country twice. We've flown across the country a few times. I've been to 26 states in 2020. Um, Changed careers, still have a lot of the same functionality to one of the jobs I was holding as far part owner, co-founder of a product. But yeah, a lot has changed, and now we're residing in South Carolina. So it's a phenomenal Veterans Day today. A lot of positive changes on the horizon, but could not be more stoked to be, broadcasting from where we're at today.
No, that's good. So, obviously, you guys moved. You just wanted to get away from the West Coast, or is it just time for a change?
Do you remember the movie Braveheart at all?
I remember very well. Yes.
Do you remember like the closing scene where Mel Gibson is like yelling freedom and he opens his hand and the little handkerchief, Dealey Bob, flies out of his hand?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I pictured as I left the Washington, Oregon area. I got, to Idaho and heading east. I felt like Mel Gibson for a moment. I got to breathe some fresh air, some freedom, if you will. So, yeah, that's a big reason why we moved. I just felt very stifled, and it was only getting worse. So, not to get political, I wanted to make a change because I could.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's one of the great things about our country is we can make those decisions for ourselves, for our families, and I think that's one of the great things about this country. If you don't like where you are, or you don't like what you're looking at, turn it off or move somewhere else. It's the one of the many freedoms that we have in this country. So let's catch everybody up, kind of what's been happening, I guess. I was working up until probably about a month and a half ago or so, and I quit my job and uh, decided to focus on myself and really improve myself and just take some time off. I never took any time off after I left the military, so we're going through that phase right now. It's a very weird phase. It's kind of awkward, I guess, not having a job. I'm not the kind of person that's used to doing that, so it's been interesting. So I've been able to get a lot of things done and hang out with my daughter a lot. So it's been very fruitful, and I'm really enjoying it. So trying to just take things one day at a time right now and move forward and be a better human being than I was yesterday.
No, I dig it, man. I applaud you for pumping the brakes and asking the right questions on why you're working right now for that particular industry and where you're trying to go. After we talked the other day, actually, I thought of this analogy that kind of came to mind without going too deep. When you have a bow and arrow, right, and you go to pull, draw back, you create energy, potential energy as you pull back, and there's a resting state, and at some point you release and it flies, right? You've got energy through the arrow. It transfers energy from the string to the arrow, and it flies towards your target. Right now with you literally have spent so much time in the military, and you're at the point now where you're recalibrating in life. So in order to actually gain energy, you have to stop and be in a kind of a neutral state for a bit. So think about this: you're pulling your arrow, your bow back again right now, and that's in the state you're in. You're learning, you're retooling, and some of that retooling is really taking some R&R and spending some time with family, because you've sacrificed for so many years, which is quite fitting for Veterans Day, talking about what are we doing to honor each other and ourselves. But so no, I applaud you for doing what you're doing, and I think this is going to be a good retooling period in your life. This season's going to be, I think, very it's going to bless you, but it's also going to bless the future fruit that you're going to be working against. So applaud you for that.
Yeah, thanks. I know a lot of people take time off, and I just felt like I always needed to work. I think it's just kind of in my blood. My dad's the same way. All he ever does is work. And so it's good. It's taken some time to, like I said, to get used to that and really sit down and focus on myself and really see where I'm at, because when we're at work, we kind of put all of our issues or our thoughts to the side and just focus on the work itself, and then we never deal with the things that are on our mind. And I think that dealing with things that are on our mind, whether they're good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, doesn't matter, because they still need to be dealt with. It's like having that flat tire, that slow leak in your tire. It doesn't matter. It's still there. Yeah, you can get along, but you need to fix it. It needs to be fixed, or else you're going to have a catastrophic event. Hopefully, not life altering.
So you're saying I can't just keep putting fix a flat in that Joker and keep limping along?
Oh no, you can, but it's gonna blow up. I promise. I can, and I'm sure you can as well. You can speak from experience on that. You just keep putting the old band-aids on there, and saying, "Yep, that'll
Hey,
do."
can I chase a squirrel for a second?
Of course.
Dude,
Oh.
so I was so no shit, there I was, right? About 2 o'clock in the morning, rolling through the hood. No, I was a cop in a city, and I was rolling along, and I saw this jacked up truck, and two people, male and female, behind the truck by one of the rear passenger tire. And this thing was flat. I'm to the rim, and you could tell based off kind of the pattern of that tread at that point, it was off the bead. One, two,
Mhm.
it was driven on for a minute, right? So
Mhm.
I get out, put my lights on and put myself on a citizen assist, whatever, motorist assist. So I go out there, start talking to them, and you can tell like driver and passenger both bombed. If they're
Mhm.
out of the vehicle, it's kind of hard to put them behind the driver's seat. I don't care about that at that point, but I'm more intrigued with the fact they have this fix a flat can trying to jack this whole tire off. They're trying to pump the tire out, and it's off the bead. So they're spraying this crap in, and it's coming out the backside of this thing. So I'm just sitting there watching. And it's kind of funny because it's the ironic piece is that fix a flat is not going to help, but the tire being off that bead is preventing them from getting arrested because both of them are drunk. They're
Mhm.
going to get back in that vehicle, drive, and get arrested for DUI most likely, or crash and kill somebody. Who knows? But I was just sitting there like, can I give you a hand? They're like, no, we're good. We got it. They're a redneck type, just
Mhm.
probably down to earth, good dudes, but, and Gail, but just hilarious. They're like, got it, man. I'm good. I'm good to go. And I'm like, all right, fine. So I just sat there and watched. They never did get it. So that was a victory for the team that night.
Yes, I mean, they didn't have a spare, or that was their spare.
Yeah, it's probably their third spare. They probably had not one matching tire on that truck.
Oh my God, and that's sad. Be prepared, folks. Be prepared. And
Man,
don't be an idiot.
those working folk, we don't have too much time and energy. We gotta make do and throw the spare tires. You gotta get a spare tire off the friend or neighbor's truck when you have to. It is what it is.
No, I understand it. Hard times, man. But you gotta, dude. I know. It's not gonna work. I promise. From someone that is thrown a bunch of tires and actually been able to fix some of them in a quote unquote field environment, even off the bead. It's luck, but it's limping. You're just limping your way home. You're buying yourself some more time, but the point is obviously, like, if you don't take care of the issue, it's gonna end up eating you alive. And but today is Veterans Day, and thank you to all of our veterans there that are. We've got some deployed right now. We've got some doing training. We've got some just spending some time with their families. I know you and I both are greatly appreciative of those folks, and as having served ourselves, we can understand what those folks are going through, and how appreciative we are of those folks. And we talked briefly yesterday about kind of how we wanted to go about this episode, since today's our 1 year anniversary on this show. And so let's dive into that a little bit, as far as veterans, and what it means to be a veteran, and what it means to be a veteran that did serve but is no longer in the military.
Sure. No, I think this topic right now is like, it's been kind of surfacing a lot in different areas. Like you just watch little symptoms of different people you interact with, and it made me kind of recalibrate and get perspective of who I am from being a military veteran to today in the professional realm, and kind of to go backwards a minute. So this last year has been one of the most instrumental changing years of my entire life. I've grown a ton, and a lot of it actually I think has to do with this podcast, and then the exposure it's presented with other people that have poured into me, and yourself included. But from a year ago to today, moved across the country, changed vocations. Now the vice president of business development with the software development company, and I deal with a lot of professional individuals. And I'm realizing the more I rub shoulders with people from this country that are not military veterans, that don't really understand what it's like to be a veteran, they truly do want to be more appreciative and empathetic, but it's hard to really know how to even show your appreciation. So the more I get into that dialogue, it's kind of awkward, right? And I had a recent encounter where a guy said, thanks for your service, by the way. And I turned around and said, thanks for paying your taxes. Because honestly, it was you that allowed me to serve this country. It
Hmm.
was a privilege and it was an honor to serve. And sure, I've got, some ulcers or whatnot because of the service. It caused some stress, sure, and some ailments here and there. But big picture is I'm healthy, I'm alive, I'm well off, and it's put me on a path to success. And I think before that, I was holding kind of this victim card of kind of they owe me something still. And I'm not, if that's on you, that's your conviction. No, that's fine. But I think for me, I'm trying to like paint a different narrative for my own life. But anyways, with that little situation, when I said that, his wife was right there too, and she was like, just her, didn't know what to respond with. It was very eye-opening to her, and he literally like thanked me for that. He's like, it's so often we forget about the fact that we're one nation, and if we can come together in this area, there's other areas we can affect as well. But through that dialogue, it made me want to kind of push other veterans and ask the question of like, why do we feel we're so entitled post-military still? Not saying we shouldn't honor those that served and be appreciative and get your discount at Applebee's tonight. Like, I'm all for it, man. But once we go to the military, why do we feel we have this ability to always ask and feel like we're deserving of something? So I don't know. I just kind of random thought that popped in my mind. I want to discuss it today.
Yeah, I think, as far as what I think is that a lot of these people, it's in the culture, which it isn't a bad thing that, people are walking around thanking veterans for their service and whatnot. We look back at the Vietnam era, that was a completely different story. People were the opposite. They were ridiculed and had things thrown at them and, called baby killers and whatnot. But nowadays you're seeing a lot of support for the military. And I think over time it's developed into this, well, I served, so you owe me a, hey, thanks for your service, or hey, you owe me a 10% discount. And it's like, well, no, really, they don't. No, nobody owes you anything. You already given the opportunity to serve. You volunteered for it. No one put a gun to your head and said you have to do this. And so, part of me is like, okay, yeah, we should definitely recognize those that have volunteered and serve our country. Absolutely, 100%. But let's not get into the mind frame or the mindset that, hey, look, I'm owed something everywhere I go. I'm better than everyone else. No, that's not the case. You just decided to do something different with your life. Now, to me, in my opinion, you'll be better than everyone else if you actually take a step back and humble yourself and lead from the front. If that's your calling, hey, I'm going to be a leader in the local community or the church or whatever it may be. I think we need to get out of the mentality that everyone owes us something just because we signed the dotted line.
Yeah, I can't agree more with that. I think it's a very, very like delicate balance, because I do think our country should hold a posture of gratitude. But then from the veteran side, I think there's got to be a natural posture of, appreciation for the having had that ability to serve this country, because it's a phenomenal country. It's one generation from being the idea of America and the freedom that she presents. That idea is so fragile, in my opinion, that we're one generation away from losing that. So I
Hmm.
think every generation that picks up that mantle and serves, and also that helps serve the veterans and helps serve the military actively, whether it's through paying your taxes, through outreach, charity, donations overseas to troops to boost the morale. Like, we all play a part in this idea of preserving the freedoms that we all fight to protect. And so to me anyways, it's got to be a balance on both sides. And the one thing I'm concerned about is because I think so many of us, and myself included, so I'm pointing the fingers here, no knife hands, man. It's the full thing. Yeah. So I heard this story recently, and this is another thing that really was kind of telling for me is when you hold on to an attitude, a heart posture of entitlement, it's not just about what you're trying to get, it's what you paint as a picture for yourself and how your day looks even. And one example of this was, I talked to one of my neighbors recently in this area in South Carolina, phenomenal dude. And he's telling me, he's like, I was a chaplain for a while, and his nationality is he's Vietnamese. And we were talking, and he's like, back in the Vietnam War, Americans came home and they got just ridiculed, and it was just baby killer type mentality, and they didn't get any respect really from probably a majority of Americans seemingly. He said, it was even worse on the other side, because theory, they thought we won the conflict, we won the war, all that stuff. So they went home and they were losers of the war, and also not respected at all. So you have like, it's not like a compounding interest type thing negatively.
Hmm.
And he painted a picture that was so different than I even imagined. But one thing that I was really kind of thinking about is he told me that a couple of years ago he was invited to an event where it was in Vietnam and close to a combat zone. I don't know which, he mentioned it, but I forget. One of the conflicts that happened over there. And he said they brought troops from both sides to the equation, both countries that both fought each other, brought them back to this place and had like a round table. And it took a while and they talked back and forth. But at some point, somebody, a Vietnamese soldier, stood up and essentially like apologized and owned his actions on that day. And
Hmm.
it was just this huge event where everybody was actually seeing healing. And even as I talk to this, I get the goosebumps because, wars are inevitably going to be fought. Like we know this is going to happen. If we can get peace, awesome. Let's do that first. But we just inevitably it's going to happen. But watching these veterans and hearing this story about, years and years of, you know, on the brink of suicide and holding these fears and these angers and these frustrations inside. And then all of a sudden they're just released. They had this sense of peace about them and they had this closure. And it was all held from this one idea of not being able to forgive that enemy that day. And anyway, so just this huge, profound story that I heard, and it just really radically like shook my world when it came to like combat, war, and how we can heal from it.
Hmm.
Because you know what, on both sides of the equation, people are hurting. Brothers are dying, sons are dying, fathers are dying, husbands are dying on both sides, and we're all people at the end of the day. So it was just a really cool picture that helped check my perspective of what it means to be a veteran and how can I heal one and help other veterans heal, and then also bridge the gap between civilians and veterans as well.
Yeah, I think that the key thing is bridging the gap. That's something that I feel like is still a big issue in society, because a lot of employers are like, yeah, we want the veterans because we know what we're going to get from them, but then on the other end you have people that cause a lot of problems because they haven't been dealing with their own issues that they may have developed prior to the military or while they were in the military. And so we need support from the local community, but we also, as veterans, we need to support the local community. And we need to do our part. I actually think we should do a bigger part in supporting our local community and other veterans, because we volunteered to serve. So I feel like that should carry over until after you leave the military and you join the workforce in the civilian sector. They're looking for you to be that leader. I think there is some sort of expectation there that, hey, look, this person was in the military, and then when they show up, it's like complete opposite. And sometimes those people, that puts a bad taste in their mouth for those, for veterans. And so I think we as veterans need to do a better job. And I really think that starts with uh, working on ourselves before we look at, oh well, it's the employer's fault. No, you make your own decisions. You're choosing to do X, Y, and Z, and it's probably because you have some issues that you need to get resolved, that are on your heart, on your mind, or whatever. And that's kind of, it's the that giant wall that's keeping us from achieving great things and actually showing the civilian populace that, yeah, we deployed, we did things or whatever, but we can adapt to civilian life again, and we can do good things in the community.
I, I totally agree with that. And I think, to kind of caveat off of that, going back to like when you hold those hard attitudes that are negative in general and don't know how to get out of that funk, I heard this quote just recently, and it was, you become what you think about all day long. So think about this. If you have a same thought process throughout the day of, an entitlement of people should serve me and, poor me and woe me, all these mentalities. And there's hints of truth to why you should be able to be in these funks and, sit there and dwell on things. Sure. I mean, you probably deserve that, right? After some of the stuff you've been through. But I guess I'd ask the question is, what is it doing for you? So if you're sitting dwelling on all this stuff, that becomes your identity,
Hmm.
and you smell of that. Like people come around you and they smell that on you. So that's where my concern is I've watched a lot of people like essentially sabotage their own life because of the history, and they want to be proud about it, but the end result is negative. And so then also an outpouring of that is a negative effect of veterans. Like, oh, veterans shouldn't be trusted with guns or be cops because they're so, plagued with mental illness. And I think mental illness is a real thing, but that's across the board, across the country. Like, people deal with it all the time. We just, as a society, won't deal with it yet, not at scale. Um, but yeah, I really like that quote because to me, it was a good summation of, this concept of if we can change the heart attitude a little bit. Yeah, sure, I served, and if you got to seek counseling and seek some additional, ways to heal through some stuff, but change your heart attitude to, I'm actually honored that I had the ability to serve, and I still want to continue on with that because you trusted me then. I want to continue with that torch and take the tools I learned and help shape the circle of influence that I have through my new employer, through my new community, through the new PTA, PTO programs in the school systems. Like, whatever you're doing, you have that tool now that you can use, but how are you actually using it?
Yeah, exactly. And are you using it for good, or are you using it to further go down the rabbit hole, or spiral downwards into, addiction of whatever sort? Which Oregon, by the way, passed all those laws that everything's legal now. Sorry, I saw the squirrel there in the background.
Yeah, I saw that too, and which is actually a good point because a lot of these things right now in the news, not to get political at all, and I'm not going down that path today because I don't want to get negative. Um, you look at some of these things, you have to stop and think like, why are we doing some of these things that seemingly don't make a lot of sense? Um, but the big pictures, if I dwell on these things, I can't change the day, but can I change the year and the outcome of the year just a little bit? So you can't boil the ocean, we know that.
Mm,
But could you boil a cup of water today? And what I mean by that is, like, for example, in my world for software development, we're creating a culture right now that believes in conscious tech. So do I believe that all these conspiracies that I'm hearing right now are true? I don't know, and I'm not going to go there. But what I do know is we watch these fact checkers and these censorship things happening across the board. And mainly it's been seemingly towards the right wing. And that being said, I'm not going to get angry at them. I think there's fixes that have to come from that. But I'm changing the culture of our company with others around me and saying, we're going to develop tools that are going to be used for good. We're going to be building tools that are going to help free flow of information. And they're not going to be they're not going to be a partisan tool. They're
mhm.
going to be the ability for us all to advance in life in a positive way. And that's something I think we all got to focus on instead of getting all wrapped around these things in the news every day. Is when we see these things, what can I do today to change it for the better? Instead of griping about some guy in 2,000 miles away or 1,000 miles away, like, what are you doing today to fix your own circle?
Yeah, it's amazing that we focus so much on that little screen that's in our hand, and we get so angry, and we're focused on that person that's 2,000 miles away. But yet, what are we doing about the that 25-meter target that is your household, your property, your family, you? How are we affecting that circle right there? Because you're now, when you go out to that 2,000-mile radius, you're out of your element, Donnie. You're out of your element. And so, you're right, because, I get on social media, whatever. I'm trying to limit it because it's the same thing every day. It's like Groundhog's Day every single day. What's not Groundhog's Day? Me doing projects at the house. I rebuilt the gate on the side of my house. All new wood, new posts, new gate frame, everything. It looks amazing, and I feel way better about that than seeing something that's posted on the news or social media. Like, I have a lot of satisfaction every time I look at that. I'm like, I made that. And so it's like, do you think the person that's 2,000 miles away that you're mad at cares about your stupid gate? No, no one cares. So you're the one that should care about what's in your little 25-meter circle, because that's really what's going to affect you. If you're being affected by some dude or woman or whoever 2,000 miles away, you need to take a knee and drink some water and figure out why you're being an idiot.
No, that's a phenomenal point. But you know what though, like, the more I think about this and like veterans and what they're doing and to honor veterans, like, last year we started the podcast, and day one we started with a very special guest with Mr. Tony Brooks, or I should say Dr. Tony Brooks, to us.
Doctor.
suppose give him a quick plug. You know, even since then, the things he's been involved with and leading his community, not just in the local sense, but you know, the things he's been involved with in the chiropractic world. He's charging forward, helping build that community for the better. It makes me proud the fact that I got to rub shoulders, even for a minute, with a guy like that. That he gets out and he's still serving in the best way he knows how to. Um, so it's really cool to see other veterans like that. You know, like Jamie Chester, he's a guy that we're involved with the company called Apex Target Systems.
Mhm.
Dude is pouring his life savings into a product that I believe is going to save lives, bring more men home from overseas, more women home from overseas. It's going to train more surgical fighters. It's going to hold people accountable for their actions in a good way. The fact of the matter is, there's a lot of veterans out there just kicking butt, taking names. And that's what I think we really got to start celebrating more, is like, what are the victories we're still seeing in today's society? Post-military, what are these people doing to honor the service that they put in?
Yeah, absolutely. And Doctor Brooks, or Tony as we know him, he I do the same thing. I see all the things that he's doing and all the things that he's involved with, and I just always, I'm baffled. It's like, how do you have time to do all that stuff? And you just make time, you prioritize, and he's doing really, really good things. And I'm sure he'd be the first person to say that this didn't all just happen overnight. I'm sure he's gone through his ups and downs, and post-military life. I know it all hasn't been a smooth sailing for him. So it does take time, but I think he's also taken the time to work on himself, because he knows that if he's not right, and if he's a hot mess, if he's hot garbage, then all that's going to come out of his mouth and his pores is hot garbage. I saw this sticker. It said, "Expect to self rescue," and no one is coming. It's up to us. And I feel like that resonates well with a lot of situations. It's don't always expect somebody to come rescue you. Expect to self rescue. If you don't self rescue, then what are you doing? At least try to self rescue.
Sure. No, I agree. And I think too, that's, most times in the military world, you always have, like, the basic training, your battle, right? And then you go on to your actual unit, and you always have, someone in your team, your squad, your platoon, like somebody you can tap into for a resource and someone to kind
Hmm.
of prop you up when you're having a hard day. Then you get out of the military, and it's like, I believe in that self-rescue, but what team are you actually allowing to come around you right now to
Hmm.
know when you're having a hard day? You don't have to be there by yourself, or a good day too. Who are you celebrating life with? One thing that we're focusing right now with that Zerotech is like working through our DNA as a company. Who are we, and who are we serving,
Hmm.
and how are we serving them? And when I'm doing a lot of research right now and really kind of studying who we are, I realize you can distill most of, I mean, honestly, life down, but especially as it pertains to business, into a couple, like, you can distill it down to a few things. Like, how are we helping them survive, thrive, and conserve calories? Very
Hmm.
basic things. And I think, look at the priorities of work and, Ranger School. Like, we get taught these things, and it's all about survival and thrival and conserving calories. Then
Hmm.
we give essentially a task list on how to actually accomplish those items. Um, but anyways, I think with in society today, we kind of dump a lot of those practical tools out the window. So not that I disagree with the, help self-rescue, but
Hmm.
within the context of, sometimes if you don't have the strength or nowhere to go, have you allowed yourself to be immersed into a circle or culture that can help, as you're trying to help yourself in that lens?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are relying on the VA to fix them as far as veterans are concerned, because it is Veterans Day. We're still talking about veterans. They rely on the VA. They're looking for answers and looking for their problems to be solved by the VA. The VA is not going to solve your problems. You're gonna help solve your own problems. Like you just said, you have to find that circle. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Just like Jason Van Camp said, his mom was like, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future." So who are you? Who's in your circle? Who's in that 25-meter circle? I'm sure it's going to be your family, but then who are the friends? Who are you hanging out with? Are they just dragging you down, bitching, complaining? The VA sucks. This sucks. I don't get a discount here. This and that and the other. And it's like, you need to cut that out. Or what you need to do is turn around and be a positive light for those people and show them that, hey, look, man, yeah, VA is not perfect. Nothing's perfect. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. We're all jacked up. But if we come together, maybe we can figure this out. and maybe we can help each other instead of just sitting here bitching and complaining. Take 30 seconds to bitch and complain, and then take 3 hours to try to figure out and solve the problem. Maybe that'll help a little bit, because I see that a lot. I see that in society in general. People love to complain. Everybody's so anxious. Everybody wants everything now, 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 now. And it's like, dude, these things take time. Got to let that marinate, buddy.
No, I hear you, but we're doers though, and it's hard to let things unfold though, right?
It is. It is. That's why I'm struggling so much right now. Like with not having a job, it's I'm like constantly for having that battle, but I need to just let it happen. As they say, as you're getting choked out, just let it happen, buddy. Just let it happen.
Let it go.
Let
Let
it
it.
exactly.
Oh man, freaking kids. But you did talk about wanting to get your pilot's license at some point a while back. Maybe we start posturing there. I could use a buddy with a pilot's license. Maybe we work at getting a plane.
hmm
We're only a
Yeah.
few hours apart now, so I'm pretty sure we could find a central location where we could grab our go bags and we're good to go.
Have like a ride share. No, dude, you can. Some of the guys that I skydive with, one of them's a pilot, and him and another couple guys are looking at buying like a small Cessna 172. And I mean, dude, you can get those for like 30 grand.
Probably
And
probably less. We might have to do a TLC on the Joker, but
yeah, I mean, I would love to have a helicopter, but my gosh, the maintenance on it, it'll eat you alive.
yeah, it's no, I agree. I think one day I wouldn't. That's kind of one of my lifelong dreams. I don't have a reason for it. I just really love the idea of getting at least a single prop license to be able to just fly.
Dude, it's just like you said, freedom.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's that freedom
It's
that I want. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's I was talking to somebody about skydiving the other day. It's they're like, well, why do what do you do it? You've done it so many times, and but yet you still go back and you do it more. And I'm like, because it fills that gap that of, hey, look, I'm free, just for those, for that minute in the air when I'm free falling. I'm free, and it's the only thing I'm concentrating on is what's in front of me. Everything goes away, and it's just this feeling of freedom that you have. And even under canopy, I mean, it's amazing. And you do it because you feel free. It's a very I don't know, how would you say it, rewarding experience.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. That's one thing I just mentioned. I want to start to get back into recreational skydiving again. Get my release in, if you will.
Yeah, you got to release that pilot chute, open that main. It is a release, man. It helps with it. It's endorphins. You're at 13, 14,000 feet in the air, and I was on a plane a couple months ago. I was jumping, and a lot of them have what's called this little camera step. I mean, it's this tiny little piece of metal that's right on the outside of the plane, right there where you open the door. Well, this one didn't have one. I didn't check before I got on the plane, so I'm over there trying to put my foot on it. It's not on there, so I'm just hanging with one hand on the bar that's mounted to the top of the plane, on the door, just kind of stuck like a fly on the side of the plane before we jump. And I don't know. I mean, it's cool. You're hanging on the side of a plane at 13, 14,000 feet, getting ready to just let go and jump, you know, jump out of it, or you're already out of it. But it's just, if you sit and think about it, I feel like it's a very freeing moment, because you're for the most part in control of that whole situation until you get on the ground.
Then the reality hits again.
Yeah, it does. But hey, man, it happens. We all have to find our things that help bring our mind at ease, and help, in a way, heal us, I guess. But no, I think that we as veterans need to do better about showing other people that there are, um, good veterans out there that can be leaders, can do good things in the community, in a company, where wherever it is, we can step up and lead by example, even though we have all, our own issues. Everybody has issues.
No, that's 100% true. The cool part about this is like I have such a drive right now, and a lot of it's coming through Apex, I think, because that's connecting me the closest to the military, law enforcement, and the shooting realm. I actually haven't shot a lot recently, and I got to shoot last week in Michigan on that platform.
hmm
And well, for one, it's a phenomenal program. Like the whole product is sweet. Like the way that you interact with it, get to see where your rounds are actually hitting, and you get a responsive target, and you can set the configuration up and scenarios up however you want. So just the idea of that, it's a cool, sexy product.
Hmm.
But the bigger picture is like, okay, I have the ability to actually help create a product that potentially could change the way the military trains, because
Hmm.
right now it's very, very archaic still. And there's some other platforms that are kind of emerging as well, but they're a lot more static, a lot more just they light up if you hit it, not a lot of reactionary and or showing where you actually hit on the target. Um, but anyway, so the big picture is we're involved with this product now, and it's there's a couple other Rangers involved, and I got to show it to a couple military buddies that are on SWAT teams, and a couple of them saw it and they were super excited about getting the opportunity to potentially start training on that and with their SWAT teams. And I was thinking, I'm like, this is the stuff that like I thought about in the military. What could I do to serve and give back? And through natural evolution, through plugging myself into different communities, through learning how to serve companies, how does software development kind of fit in this whole world. Things started to kind of fall together, but it didn't happen like all at once. It was a slow evolution.
Yeah.
But going back to that release, like shooting the other day, I kind of was a little bit, had people watching, and this big bad Ranger is supposed to be this phenomenal shot, so it's kind of like that was out there, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, actually shot really well. I was putting holes on holes, and that felt phenomenal. Um, but yeah, I think that's my biggest thing right now is helping push other veterans to like find where their calling is, find out how they can get plugged in to feel successful. Especially going back to like that VA stuff. Like, yeah, if you're searching for the VA's help, like there's small tools that they can help with. I'm not going to downplay services that
Hmm.
are out there,
Yeah.
but ultimately, if you're not getting plugged in and being part of a tribe and providing for that tribe, whether it be yourself, your family, or other people, where's your value being found at? I guess, and I want to help veterans find their value, find what makes them kind of feel whole.
Hmm.
Because I do think, going back to the kind of the origin story of this podcast, I want to celebrate veterans, but I also want to celebrate our country. And how do veterans actually help pull our country back in a direction where people get along again, where people want to serve each other, not just veterans serving them and them serving veterans, but how do we help bridge that gap that we're seeing just get wider and wider right now? And maybe it's just my conviction. I don't know, but I feel like we can do something to help this situation.
We can, and you're 100% correct. My first reaction to that is turn off all the TVs and the social media. But we to help with that division, that divide that we have, because everybody spews hate constantly on social media and the news and everywhere else, and it's like if all you're doing is spew and hate, then in return all you will get is hate. So if we would actually set that aside for a second, set our differences aside. You may like the color green. I might like the color blue. That's okay. That's fine. You might like tacos and I might not like tacos. Disclaimer: I do love tacos. But you see what I'm saying? It's we all have differences. We're not the same. It's okay. I feel like people have really segregated themselves, and it's not like if we don't do something about it, I feel like we're just gonna have these like, you're gonna have all over the U.S. You're gonna have these little populations that don't care about each other. They don't care. Like we should care about each other as Americans. Like where is that gone? I mean, I do see a lot of people that do actually care for other Americans and people that are strangers. You see it all the time, but I feel like it's gone overall. The temperature, as people always say, the temperature has gone way up in the country, and part of that's our fault. We need to come together and like you said, and I feel like veterans, they have a big voice right now. Why not? Why are we not using that to our advantage? Veterans are at the forefront. You see veterans everywhere. Veteran this, veteran that, and it's always, here's another nonprofit, this, that, and the other, and it's like, let's step up to the plate. If we're going to be leaders, let's be leaders, but let's be leaders that lead from the front, and not just tell everybody to yah mule. And they're like, well, just do as I say. Show people what they need to do. Don't just say it.
No, I agree, and that's one thing I like, about like Mission 660 with Jason Van Camp, and I
Hmm.
think he's obviously still developing that program. I think it'll evolve and get better over time. But I do think if we had the ability to serve more civilian counterparts, to take our skill sets and help scale them, so whether it be leadership, perseverance, learning how to build intestinal fortitude. A lot of these things that are very like elementary, basic things for most soldiers that some probably already have going into because their nature of who they are and what drove them to the military.
Hmm.
But I do think you learn a lot through different, whether it be Ranger School deployments, the camaraderie you get in the barracks or the shenanigans that happen. Like all these things are tools that you can actually scale if done right. So that's why I love the idea of, yeah, let's do nonprofits. But most of the time, it seems like nonprofits are built to like support veterans. And that's cool too. Like, don't get me
Hmm.
wrong, that's needed. But how can we start actually taking our skill sets and scale them? Um, and I just, that's to me, I don't want to try to like, oh, let's figure this out today. Let's try to like paint a
Hmm.
picture of what success looks like. I think it's like to start a conversation to, we're not painting the picture yet. We're literally buying the canvas, and let's
Hmm.
invite some people into the conversation and probably have more of them. But I would love to, over the next 6 months, next years, actually take this platform and really help, guide other people to bridge that gap.
Yes, and it's the guiding and taking taking what you've learned and experienced, um, and I think just volunteering, volunteering with some local organizations and whatnot, I think is a good start. I just uh, was actually texting a friend of mine earlier this morning, and she said that there's a position for, hey, we need people to help be a quote unquote leader, to help build bunk beds for kids, for foster kids and whatnot. And they need somebody who knows how to use the power tools and do all that and show these other volunteers how to put them together and how to use the power tools. And it's something small like that. You would think, to me, that's small, because I'm like, well, I know how to do all that. I mean, I could cut all the boards, do all that, put it all together myself. But dude, there's people that have no clue. They've never touched a hammer. And number one, you're helping other people learn something. Number two, you can actually um, mentor people in the process, both those foster kids and those volunteers. And so I really want to take the opportunity to involve myself in volunteering, because there's nothing like giving up your own time for someone else. And I'm not looking at it as a reward. As for myself or for someone to say, hey, good job for being a volunteer. I've already been a volunteer, man. I volunteered for almost 16 years. Cool. Congratulations. You know what? Let's move on. Don't sit there and cry about, oh, well, I did all this stuff in the military. Who cares? Shut up. What's next? That's
Correct, correct,
that
correct.
that
With one correction though, it's voluntold. Remember that, okay?
oh, it's voluntold. Voluntold. Okay. Well, here we're not in what I'm talking about is not voluntold. And so that, to me, I feel like if I step into that arena and, just like you're saying, let's figure a way out to guide civilians, veterans, and those that are hurting in need of some guidance or direction. Let's help find that. We don't know where it is. I don't know where you need guidance or direction. It's like, but if we sit down and brainstorm, have a conversation about it, I think that we can find that direction, at least move forward, instead of just sitting there, beating that dead horse that, well, somebody, hates me or whatever. I had a bad experience. Yeah, it was in the past. It's past tense. Let's move forward.
Sure. No, I agree. Actually, one guy I wanted to bring up, he owns a farm. I think it's called Southern Comfort. That
Hmm.
John Jackson.
Hmm.
I think he was from Third Bat. I think I could be mistaken, but he's a kind of, actually we should try to see if we can get him on here to talk about kind of where he's going with that whole thing. But it seems like he's teaching classes at a local college. He's bringing veterans, helping them transition, putting a lot of events and whatnot on to both civilians and veterans alike. But rubbing shoulders, preparing food together and all that kind of stuff is, to me, is super exciting, and I love what he's doing. I've been kind of watching and living vicariously through him. um, I don't know what it looks like, but I'd love to have my kids go with me and like literally go and work the farm for a day or two. And I think that'd be kind of a cool thing to start, like trips, like grab people around us, foster kids. And obviously my kids are adopted. And so that's very
Hmm.
near and dear to my heart, is like, that's one thing I can do is, we adopted kids and we're pouring into them as our own. And I mean,
Hmm.
they are our own now. But the idea of that is, we're taking one generation that had a trajectory in life, and now we've literally altered the course of their life. And
Hmm.
we have the ability to steward, and yeah, we make mistakes, but we know we're doing our best to serve them and to make them successful in life. But yeah, that John Jackson's one better. And then I couldn't be more proud of a guy like that for what he's doing. I think that's the kind of stuff when you see more of. Um, Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I follow him as well on several platforms, and dude, it's addictive. like what he's doing and the content he puts out, and just it's addictive. Like you can't get enough of it. You watch it and you're like, man, this guy's got it going on. But I guarantee you'll be the first person to say, dude, this didn't happen overnight. And dude, running that farm, doing all the things he's doing is not easy. That is a lot of stuff on your shoulders. And maybe that's what that's how he operates. He likes having all that weight on his shoulders because that's when he really shines. And I mean, I think he's really, really shining. I mean, you look at all the things that he's doing, and it may just like you. I want to go out there and I want to work on his farm. I want to volunteer. Like, hey, do you want me to go scoop the crap in the stalls? I'm down. Whatever you need, man. You
All
know,
right, well,
it's
let's sign up. Let's talk to him. I think that'd be kind of cool
I'm
to get a field trip going.
Yeah, it's a learning experience. You volunteer, you help, and I really think that when you do go over there, you're going to affect more people than you really think. Especially your boys, and it's the experience. I think we need to have real experiences in life and not just electronic experiences. Like, cool, I just passed that level on that game. Well, that's cool, but I just you know helped 12 veterans with whatever this weekend because we had a big cookout meal, and they helped butcher pigs, and they helped do whatever it is. He has that stuff all the time, and it's very inspiring. It's
For
very
sure.
inspiring.
No, I worked on dairy farms growing up in Wisconsin, and it's some of the hardest work you could probably ever do. It's very, very tough, but
Hmm.
the reward actually is phenomenal too. And something about being grounded in the earth and doing that kind of stuff is a very wholesome. You just feel good, you feel restored, and your body's fatigued, but your mind just has a great sense of peace. So there's something to that. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I guess kind of in closing today, I guess I want to just kind of recap a couple of things is, obviously I'm super appreciative of, your service, my service and other people's service as well. Like I love the fact that I could serve, and I love the fact that there's so many great veterans out there that are doing phenomenal things. But ultimately I also want to just, thank the American people, like as a collective, that they still allow veterans or people to join the military and continue to pay their taxes to allow this to happen. Because this is a big ship. It takes a lot of us to oar in the right direction. And some are paying taxes, some are serving, some are actually um, helping create legislation to keep the Army funded. Like there's just so many people that this country needs to keep pushing the idea of freedom alive in the right direction. So I just think we should make sure we continue that dialogue on days like today. That yes, let's honor veterans, but let's also honor our country. That we're shoulder to shoulder fighting this fight together. Even if some people are negative and poo poo pants about it, I think the majority of people truly appreciate the freedoms provided to them by the collective effort called America.
Yes, absolutely. I'm very grateful for this country. As an immigrant to this country, I was given the opportunity to live here, and to was given the opportunity to serve my country, and I couldn't be more thankful for that. And I'm thankful for those Americans out there that are thankful for our military and do support our military. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to other veterans, even even the grumpy ones that are walking around pissed off or whatever. They do appreciate it as well. They're having a bad day or whatever, or they need to uh, take a knee and figure out their own problems. But
Probably need a hug. I don't know. I'd suggest maybe just give them a big bear hug, COVID or
yeah,
not, give them a hug.
hey, dude, I love me some hugs, man. It's personal, it's emotion. It can be emotional, and so, but no, I think we've got a lot of things that we can do. We should never be bored. So I'm really looking forward to continue our rhythm, our battle rhythm of doing these podcasts and doing these episodes, and really uh, getting some people. I've got some people in mind to come on the show and everything. And so I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I dig it. Well, definitely. Thanks for your time today. I'm glad we got to plug back in. It's been way too long, so hopefully we can continue on with this podcast still.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you for your time. And you're busier than I am. So, but thank you everyone for listening. We will be posting episodes regularly. We do appreciate tremendously the support we get from you guys, and that y'all are listening. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. This will be available probably tomorrow. So I'll try to get this done and knocked out. So once again, thank you, everybody. Thank you, veterans. And thank you, Jordan. I'll be talking to you guys soon.
Peace.